Hello to all of you. I think, you all are sharing the suspense of what will actually be the changes which will occur in 10 days from now when Trump will become the next president. And I think it's safe to say that it will affect every single area of the world, how we have to see. It will affect for sure the Ukraine war, the Middle East, NATO, the EU, and if anything, for the dramatic upheaval which can be expected, Trump's remarks about wanting to integrate Panama, Canada, Greenland into the United States gives a certain foretaste that it will not be an easy road. As Scott Ritter said in an interview I did with him 2 days ago, that Trump probably will only respect one sovereignty, namely that of the United States. I hope it will be more flexible, but in any case, the whole world is gearing up for the changes which are to be expected. One example was the Rammstein meeting, the 25th of such meetings, which really was, while on the one side they made all kinds of promises, the Pentagon releases another $500 million worth of weapons. Then they said that they will send more missiles for air defense, air-to-ground munition, and equipment to support the Ukrainian use of the F-16. Germany claimed that they will play a big role in the person of Pistorius. In any case, nevertheless, it had the taste or the feeling of a goodbye, of a finishing. Now, Trump, in the meantime, has sort of rode back from his promise to settle the Ukraine conflict in one day by saying he may need half a year. And Keith Kellogg, who is the designated Ukrainian envoy of Trump, basically reiterated that in light of the number of casualties, which, in all modest estimates is now 1 million dead Ukrainians, that war has to end. Now, it's also clear that the neocons are gearing up to put utmost pressure on Trump, even if he is in office, by basically saying, Putin is not going to stop. He wants all of Ukraine, and that will not satisfy his appetite. He wants to go on. And that narrative, which, is not based on any facts whatsoever, is being repeated also by Austin, who spoke in Rammstein, who said, that Putin intends to swallow all of Ukraine, and that he would go on to other European states after that. And I want to read you this quote because it's really worthwhile tasting it on your tongue. He says, if autocrats conclude that democracies lose their nerves, you will see more land grabs, more aggression, more chaos, and war. And that occurred I think on the same day when the United States announced that they will stay in Syria. Now, so much for land grab. Now, obviously, the situation in the Middle East is horrendous. The absolute horror show in Gaza continues, and we will hear about that from the doctors. But in the meantime, it is clear that Israel is expanding exactly the same operation to the West Bank. Israeli Defense Minister Katz had a meeting with the IDF and asked them to prepare for full war preparation on the West Bank, so-called large counter-terror operations. And Haaretz actually basically blasted that and said that, this operation is supposed to do on the West Bank what was done to Gaza. And then reports were that the IDF was eliminating a so-called terrorist cell, which were 2 Palestinian boys aged 8 and 10. Now, the Haaretz article also says that there are now more and more pogroms and near lynchings to drive the Palestinians off the West Bank. And I find it very, very telling that they use the word pogroms for what is happening. So, this will, I mean, it's a big question. What will Trump do? One can only hope that he will try to contain or will contain what is going on. And I find myself not in a position to say one way or another if there is hope. I hope that Scott Ritter is wrong on that point where he said there is no hope for the Palestinians. This is not what is the intention of the Palestinians and many, many supporters of them all over the world to let happen. And one can only hope that the announcement, or what Newsweek is reporting with the grain of salt, that it is a newspaper report, and therefore one doesn't know exactly if that is really the full truth. But Newsweek reports the so-called list. Kash Patel, who is supposed to become the new FBI director, has drawn up of people of the so-called deep state, which need to be investigated and possibly prosecuted. And among them, and I just give you some names: Bill Barr, Attorney General under Trump; John Bolton; James Clapper; Hillary Clinton; James Comey; Kamala Harris; Gina Haspel; Fiona Hill; Robert Mueller; John Podesta; Samantha Power; Susan Rice; Jake Sullivan; Alexander Windman; Christopher Wray, and I left out several others. Altogether, 80 names are named. And if that is what will happen, maybe this machine, which has been responsible for a lot of things, can be derailed. Now, that is an open question. In any case, I can only say that no matter what happens in the short term, what we have been saying for the entire period the IPC has been meeting, that the danger of a global war coming either out of the Ukraine situation or out of an escalation in the Middle East involving Iran, involving possibly nuclear weapons, or even an escalation down the road, not too far, in the Far East, that danger can only be overcome if we manage to eliminate the real cause for war. And that is emphatically, even if there are historic specifics in each theater, so to speak, the real reason for the war danger is the systemic change that the countries of the global majority react, and I emphasize react, to the policies coming from the global north, which they regard as eminently unjust, and therefore they are building, trying to build a new economic world order, and the effort by the old system to prevent that from happening. And naturally, the fact that the financial system of the transatlantic world is ready to blow at any moment, repeating what happened in 2008 on a much, much larger scale. And therefore, and I could give you many more reasons, but I believe fundamentally you cannot just solve the problems in each particular situation, but we need to move the whole world to a completely new paradigm where confrontation is being replaced with cooperation, where we get the countries of Europe and the United States to cooperate with the BRICS and find a way of addressing the urgent needs as poverty, hunger, underdevelopment, and really move humanity into a completely new era of its own universal history. And that is what should happen this year. Whatever turmoil will happen in the upcoming Trump administration in its relations to other nations, our policy has to be to move to a new paradigm where humanity becomes finally human.